The office was buzzing with animated conversations and laughter. Music played pleasantly in the background, and festive lights created an atmosphere of celebration. After 5 years of daily hard work, today was supposed to be my shining moment. At least, that's what I thought. My boss Alex had been hinting at it for months. "Elena, you're next in line for the department head position," he'd say. I had dedicated everything to this company. Staying late, solving problems others avoided, and mentoring newcomers, even though it wasn't part of my job description. And now the evening had arrived. The corporate party was supposed to celebrate not only the company's success, but also my promotion. I smoothed down my burgundy dress, feeling a mix of nervousness and anticipation. Alex stood up, tapping his glass with a spoon. The room fell silent, and all eyes turned to him. My heart was racing. "Today," he began, his voice carrying across the room, "I want to recognize someone truly exceptional, someone who has shown remarkable talent and drive in just a short time with us." I smiled, preparing to stand. In just 4 months, Tracy has transformed our approach to client relations. My smile froze. 4 months? Tracy? "Which is why," Alex continued, seemingly oblivious to my shocked expression, "I'm thrilled to announce Tracy's promotion to department head. Congratulations!" The room erupted in applause. I sat motionless, my fingers gripping my wineglass so tightly I feared it might shatter. With tremendous effort, I managed to plaster a smile on my face and join in the applause. Tracy stood up, blushing and graciously accepting congratulations. She was talented, sure, but 4 months versus my 5 years? Then Alex turned to me as if suddenly remembering my existence. "And Elena, we really appreciate your consistency. Keep up the good work." That was it. 5 years of dedication reduced to good work. I swallowed hard and raised my glass. "Congratulations, Tracy. Well deserved." The words tasted bitter. Alex nodded approvingly. "Tracy brings fresh perspectives that we needed. Maybe you could learn something from her approach, Elena." Laughter rippled around the table. Tracy looked uncomfortable, muttering, "I've actually learned so much from Elena." But it was too late. The humiliation burned through me, but I laughed along. What else could I do? I stayed until the end, smiling, chatting, playing the good sport. But inside, something had shifted. As I walked out into the cool night air, I pulled out my phone and composed a simple email. Subject: Resignation letter. Dear Alex, please find attached my formal resignation, effective immediately. Best, Elena. I hesitated for only a moment before hitting send. Then, for the first time in years, I felt something unexpected: freedom. But I wasn't finished yet. Monday morning would bring the real surprise. Monday arrived with a strange sense of lightness. I walked through the office doors for what would be the last time, my resignation already in Alex's inbox. The receptionist greeted me warmly, colleagues chatted by the coffee machine, and Tracy sat at her desk, her new nameplate already in place. I didn't blame Tracy. She hadn't done anything wrong. The problem was sitting in the corner office, the man who had lied to my face for months. I settled at my desk, calmly organizing my things. Right on cue, his door flew open. "Elena, my office now!" Alex's voice was sharp, tinged with panic. The entire floor went silent. I stood up slowly, smoothed my blouse, and walked to his office with measured steps. The door closed behind me with a soft click. Alex was already seated, my resignation letter printed out in front of him. "What is this?" he demanded, eyes searching my face. "You're leaving? Just like that?" "Yes," I replied calmly. "Effective immediately." "But why? We didn't discuss this. This is so sudden." I laughed softly. "We didn't discuss Tracy's promotion either, yet here we are." His jaw tightened. "Elena, that wasn't personal. Tracy simply outperformed you." "In 4 months," I said, tilting my head. "Impressive." Alex leaned forward. "You know I value you, right? You've been an important part of this company for 5 years. I don't want to lose you." I stared at him, taking in the sheer audacity of his words. "You don't want to lose me," I repeated, "but you had no problem overlooking me for a promotion I worked years for. You had no problem humiliating me at what was supposed to be my celebration, and you had no problem suggesting I should learn from someone who just arrived. His expression shifted, confidence cracking slightly. Look, he said, running a hand through his hair. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I handled things poorly. But resigning without notice? That's unprofessional, Elena. You're making an emotional decision. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I sent that email Friday night, Alex. If this was just emotion, I would have stormed out right after your little announcement, but I didn't. I planned this. I'm leaving on my terms. His hand curled into a fist on the desk. So what's your plan? Go to our competitors? Because I should remind you about our non-compete clause. I couldn't help but laugh. Oh, I don't need to go to a competitor. He frowned. What do you mean? Do you remember Daniel Morgan, the VP you forced out last year? Alex tensed visibly. Of course he remembered. Daniel had been one of the company's most valuable executives until he and Alex clashed one too many times. Daniel contacted me 3 months ago, I continued. He's launching his own firm and wanted me to head the operations department, a director-level position. I declined at first because I was loyal to this company. I leaned in slightly, lowering my voice. But Friday night changed everything. I called him after the party, and he made the offer again. I accepted. Silence. Pure shock registered on Alex's face as he processed this information. You're leaving for Daniel's company? He finally managed. I start next Monday, I confirmed. He opened his mouth, closed it, then exhaled sharply. Elena, be reasonable. This company has been your home for 5 years. We can work something out. I don't want to work anything out, I interrupted smoothly. This decision is final. He clenched his jaw. You won't be able to come back. I smiled. I won't need to. I stood and walked to the door. Just before stepping out, I paused and looked over my shoulder. You know, Alex, it's funny how you only realize someone's worth when they walk away. Then I walked out, closing the door behind me, leaving him alone with the consequences of his actions. And it felt amazing. When I emerged from Alex's office, all eyes were on me. The workspace had gone eerily quiet. My colleagues weren't even pretending to work anymore. Heads peeked over cubicle walls, eyes darting away the second I met their gaze. They sensed something had happened, and soon they would know exactly what. I returned to my desk with calm composure and opened my email. I forwarded my resignation letter to the entire leadership team. Subject: Official resignation. Notice: effective immediately, I am stepping down from my position at the company. It has been an experience I won't forget. Best, Elena. Simple, professional, but the message was clear. I was done. Within seconds, whispers spread across the floor. I didn't have to wait long before someone approached my desk. Elena, is it true? Sarah, one of the few people I actually trusted here, looked stunned. I nodded, offering a small smile. Yes, it's time for me to move on. She exhaled sharply, shaking her head. Wow. Just wow. I mean, I get it, but I didn't think you'd actually leave. Neither did Alex, I muttered. She let out a half laugh, half scoff. Well, he's an idiot. Everyone knows you deserved that promotion. More colleagues gravitated toward my desk, pretending to look busy while obviously eavesdropping. Even Tracy had emerged from her new office, hovering uncertainly nearby. She wanted to say something, but hesitated. And honestly, I didn't care anymore. 10 minutes later, as I packed up the last of my personal items, my inbox pinged with an urgent meeting request from Alex. Subject: urgent. Let's talk. Meeting request. 15-minute. Location: my office. I stared at the email for a long moment before sighing. Desperate men do desperate things. I took my time walking back to his office. When I stepped inside, closing the door softly behind me, Alex looked different. The arrogance was gone. The smugness was gone. Instead, he looked like someone who had just realized they'd made a terrible mistake. Elena, he started, leaning forward. Let's talk about this. You're making a rash decision. I laughed softly. Alex, I gave this company 5 years of my life. The only rash decision here was yours. His lips pressed into a thin line. Look, I admit I mishandled things with the promotion, but we can fix this. I'll match whatever Daniel is offering you. I tilted my head. You don't even know what Daniel is offering me. Does it matter? He shot back. We'll figure something out. Better salary, more flexibility, maybe even… I held up a hand, cutting him off. You don't get it, do you? Silence. I leaned forward. It was never about the money. It was about respect. His jaw tensed. I don't want to stay at a company where my work is only valued when I threaten to leave. I don't want a counteroffer when I already have one foot out the door. If I wasn't valuable to you before, why should I believe I suddenly am now? Alex's nostrils flared slightly. He wasn't used to losing control of conversations. Elena, be reasonable. You're walking away from a stable position for what, some startup that might not even succeed? I smiled. That startup is being run by someone who values my contributions. I'd rather bet on myself than stay in a place that treats me like I'm disposable. I stood up. Goodbye, Alex. And with that, I walked out. Packing the last of my things felt surreal. As I carried my box to the elevator, a few colleagues clapped softly, small acknowledgments of my silent victory. Tracy, finally gathering courage, approached me. Elena, I didn't know. I raised an eyebrow. Didn't know what? Her mouth opened, then closed again. She knew. Of course she knew. She might not have orchestrated it, but she had benefited from my loss. It's fine, Tracy, I said, not unkindly. Enjoy the promotion. She flinched, but I was already stepping into the elevator. As the doors slid shut, I took a deep breath. This wasn't just an ending. It was a beginning. The following Monday, I stood in front of a sleek glass building, taking in the sight of my new beginning. Morgan Enterprises was smaller than my old company, but it pulsed with energy and ambition. It was filled with people building something, not just maintaining a machine someone else had created. I stepped through the doors, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Excitement. No more being overlooked. No more being undervalued. No more Alex. As I rode the elevator to the top floor, my reflection looked different, more confident, more alive. This wasn't just a new job. This was freedom. My new office had floor-to-ceiling windows and a door I could actually close. The morning filled with introductions, meetings, and onboarding, but everything felt different from my old workplace. For starters, people actually listened. During my first leadership meeting, Daniel turned to me with a smile. Elena, I want you to take the lead on our new initiative. We're restructuring operations, and with your experience, you're the best person for it. Just like that. No begging, no proving my worth repeatedly. They already knew my value. I nodded, suppressing the urge to glance around and see if this was some kind of test. I'd love to, I said simply. A few of my new colleagues smiled in approval. Daniel nodded as if he had expected no other answer. This was how things should be. No games, no politics, just respect. The first sign that things were unraveling at Alex's company came 2 days after I left. My phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. Oh, Galena, Alex is losing it. Ever since you left, everything's a mess. He called an emergency meeting because no one knows how to handle half the things you used to do. Turns out, Tracy doesn't bring fresh perspectives after all. She doesn't even know what she's doing. I laughed out loud. Of course. Of course Alex had overestimated Tracy's abilities and underestimated mine. A second message came in. Oh, and get this. 4 clients already reached out asking for you by name. When they found out you left, they were not happy. I felt a rush of satisfaction. Alex had spent years taking me for granted, and now he was learning a lesson he should have learned long ago. Some people are not replaceable. That afternoon, while reviewing strategy documents in my new office, my assistant appeared at the door. Elena, you have a call on line 1. It's Westfield Solutions. They said they used to work with you and want to discuss moving their account. I blinked. Westfield Solutions was one of the biggest clients at my old company. Put them through, I said, keeping my voice steady despite my pounding heart. A moment later, I heard the familiar voice of James Westfield, the CEO. Elena, he said warmly, I heard you moved to Morgan Enterprises. Let's talk. I leaned back in my chair, a slow smile spreading across my face. Of course, James. What can I do for you? Within a week, 3 of my former company's biggest clients had reached out to me, all expressing the same frustration. Things aren't the same since you left. We don't feel like we're in good hands anymore. If you're heading operations at Morgan Enterprises, we're interested in moving. And so, one by one, they did. I wasn't stealing clients. I didn't need to. They were leaving on their own because they trusted me, not the company I used to work for. And Alex? He was scrambling. Sarah kept feeding me updates. Tracy is drowning. She's not ready for this role at all. I heard Alex yelling at the leadership team in a closed-door meeting this morning. The board is furious about the client losses. Investors are not happy. Word is they're putting pressure on Alex to fix this fast. I could only imagine the look on his face, the panic, the regret. And the best part? I wasn't even trying to hurt him. I was just thriving somewhere else. That Friday afternoon, just as I was finishing up for the day, my phone buzzed with an email from Alex. I raised an eyebrow and opened it. Subject: a proposal. Elena, I'd like to have a conversation. I believe we can come to a mutually beneficial arrangement if you're open to it. Let's set up a meeting next week to discuss options. Looking forward to your response? Alex. I leaned back in my chair, laughing softly. He was desperate, and for the first time in 5 years, I had all the power. I stared at Alex's email for a few moments, letting the irony settle in. The man who had dismissed me so easily, who had laughed at my expense, who had told me to learn something from Tracy's approach, was now the one reaching out. And I knew exactly why. His world was falling apart. I took my time crafting my reply. No urgency, no desperation, just calculated control. Subject: a proposal. Alex, I'm available for a brief meeting Monday at 10 a.m. Let me know if that works for you. Best, Elena. I hit send and closed my laptop. I wasn't walking into that meeting to negotiate. I was walking in to watch him squirm. At precisely 10 a.m., I walked into the familiar glass office building I had left behind weeks ago. Everything felt different now. The receptionist hesitated before greeting me, unsure if I was a guest or a ghost from the past. Employees stole glances as I passed by. They all knew. And then, as I stepped into Alex's office, I saw him. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, a nervous energy in the way he sat, his fingers tapping restlessly on the desk. He wasn't the same arrogant man who had belittled me weeks ago. Thanks for coming in, he said, forcing a tight smile. I sat down, crossing my legs and placing my hands in my lap. Of course, what's on your mind? He exhaled and leaned forward. I won't waste your time. We need you back, Elena. I said nothing, just let the words hang in the air, heavy with irony. He continued. I underestimated your role here, I'll admit that, but we can make this right. If you return, I'm prepared to offer you a substantial raise, a senior executive title, and full decision-making authority over your department. He sat back, clearly expecting me to be impressed. I wasn't. I tilted my head. So, let me get this straight. You had 5 years to recognize my value, 5 years to promote me, 5 years to respect my work. I let that sink in before continuing. But instead, you passed me over for someone with 4 months of experience and suggested I should learn from her. And now, after losing key clients and watching your company spiral, suddenly you're offering me everything I deserved all along? Alex's jaw tightened. Elena, come on! I held up a hand, stopping him. Let me ask you something. If I never left, would I be sitting in this chair right now? Would you have given me this offer out of appreciation? Or are you only doing it now because you're losing control? His silence said everything. He tried to mask it, but I saw it in his eyes, the truth. He never saw my worth until it cost him everything. I let out a small, amused laugh. That's what I thought. Alex's desperation broke through. Elena, be smart about this. You have history here, a future. Do you really want to throw away all the hard work you put into this company? I smiled. Alex, you still don't get it, do you? I stood up, smoothing my blazer, and leaned slightly forward. I never needed you. You needed me. And now, you're finally realizing that. His face darkened, but I could see it, the flicker of panic behind his eyes. I turned, walking to the door, but paused just before stepping out. "You should take notes, Alex," I said softly, echoing his own words back at him. "Maybe next time you'll learn to value the people who actually make your company run." Then I walked out, and this time, I never looked back. Back at Morgan Enterprises, things were thriving. Our client roster had nearly doubled. More and more companies were leaving Alex's sinking ship and turning to us. And then, on a quiet Friday afternoon, Sarah sent me one final update that made me laugh out loud. Alex just got fired. The board forced him out. They couldn't recover from all the client losses. I leaned back in my chair, sipping my coffee. Perfect. Alex had thought I was replaceable. Turns out, he was. And me? I was exactly where I was meant to be.